Alright, so today we have another gambling addiction story from Reddit that I'm going to read and react to. Now, this one is titled, How I've Lost $40,000 in My Life as a 22-year-old. Now, this one looks pretty long, so let's get into it. This was originally written almost 4 years ago on July 11th, 2018. This is my first Reddit post, so please excuse the length as well as the quality. I'm currently struggling with a gambling addiction that I've had for around 4 years and find that nothing I do has succeeded in helping me overcome this addiction. I figured that other people have experienced a gambling addiction and have successfully overcome one, so I would love to hear anyone's thoughts, advice, or comments on my situation, as well as gambling addictions in general. As a kid, I've always had an addictive personality. I remember when I was younger, I would play video games for hours on end non-stop. One of my biggest regrets to date is not reading more as a kid. The cognitive ability of reading is one of the most underrated skills in life. My peers and friends who read for fun growing up are not only fast readers, but generally do well in school and life. At the time, I didn't think much of my video game addiction as it was not harming myself or others. Little did I know this small addiction would serve as a gateway to a larger addiction that would bring a lot of stress and problems in my life. So this sounds a little bit eerily familiar to myself, and this is probably very common for a lot of people struggling with a gambling addiction, is that you gain an addiction or you develop one when you're younger in age, and the biggest culprit for that is usually video games. Fast forward to the summer after graduating senior year of high school. Growing up, I've always been really into soccer, playing competitively on a traveling club team since I was 11 years old. But my senior year of high school, I was committed to a prestigious university to play collegiate soccer. During my high school soccer season, my senior year in the spring, I broke my foot in the league championship game against our rivals, which we won. This was the first time in my life that I've ever suffered a serious injury, and let me tell you, I was not ready for the setbacks that I would face from it, both physically and mentally. For those of you who have never broken a bone, it is one of the most debilitating physical things that can occur to someone, especially if it impairs daily routine activity. I had to use crutches or a knee scooter to get around everywhere and could not exercise, which caused a great deal of anxiety and jitteriness for me given that I've grown up living an active lifestyle. Around the same time, I had some friends who were talking about a casino that was only 15 minutes away from where we lived, and it was also an 18+ casino. Given that I couldn't really do much with a broken foot, I decided to make a trip to this casino to find out what people were talking about. Little did I know that this innocent first trip to the small casino near my house 4 years ago would take me down a dark path of gambling. Well, so that's interesting. I'm assuming this guy's in the States. They have casinos that are 18+? I thought all casinos in the US were 21. I remember on my first trip to the casino, I was so excited that I grabbed a handful of cash, I think around $100, and drove as quickly as possible to the casino. When I tried to enter the building, a security guard stopped me and asked for my ID. Amidst my excitement, I realized I forgot my wallet with my driver's license at home, which led me to speed home to grab it. On my way home, I was stopped by a police officer for going 15 miles per hour over the residential speed limit. The officer was nice enough not to penalize me for not having my ID, but I still received a $140 ticket. After that happened, I was in a pretty bad mood, but still determined to find out what it was like to wager money on a bunch of cards. I remember the first trip to the casino. I actually lost my $100 in about 15 minutes playing blackjack, which should have discouraged me from setting foot in a casino ever again. However, me being someone who thinks that they're smarter than the average gambler, I went home that night and practiced memorizing basic strategy, a strategy that minimizes the house edge in blackjack, as well as studied card counting, specifically the high-low method, wagering more money when the remaining cards are favorable for the player. So in blackjack, I think that when the shoe is flush of face cards and like the higher cards, that is generally more favorable mathematically for the player. That's where the casino loses their edge. But man, going to the casino for the first time and all of a sudden thinking you can beat blackjack by becoming a card counter, that's tough. Armed with this new knowledge, I was determined to beat the game and make money from my local casino. After all, it did cost me $240 the first time I went. The few trips after my first, I was making money pretty consistently. I remember there was one time I turned $60 into around $600, and other times where I would walk away making a couple $100. I didn't think that gambling was a problem during this time, as I was going with my friends, making money, and getting a crazy amount of adrenaline from the casino runs. Being at the blackjack blackjack table allowed me to forget about my anxiety and depression that gradually compiled due to my broken foot and the inability to exercise, provided an escape from the limitations that my broken foot had instilled on me. At the same time, I was working at Domino's as a delivery driver, and remember taking the cash from the tips I earned each day that I worked, ranging from $60 to $200, and drive over to the casino to test my luck for that day. For those of you who don't know, gambling is dangerous because winning money is really not that difficult. However, walking away with the money is a completely different story. A majority of the times I went to the casino, I was up for my original buy-in at some point. However, that meant nothing considering I didn't walk away winning most of the time. I started spending more and more time at the casino and eventually started losing money, including all the money I had previously won from the casino. The problem started getting particularly bad when I started lying to my friends about going to the casino. I even remembered multiple times where I would go with my friends who had more self-control than I did and would stay longer than them, losing my ride, and resort to calling other friends to pick me up or taking a cab home. Oh man, that's tough. So you go with your friends and they have the self-control to leave, but then you end up staying longer to play. There's one part of this I kind of disagree. The part where winning money isn't that difficult. Maybe what he means is that the times where you do win money, it's hard to stop and get up and walk away from the table. But generally when odds are not in your favor, you're more likely than not going to be winning money anyway. To make matters worse, one of the things I'm most ashamed of to this day was gambling on the birthday of my girlfriend at the time, which caused me to be late to her birthday dinner with her family. To make matters worse, I remember taking my girlfriend to dinner near the casino, stopping by the casino to redeem one of the bonus coupons they give you to entice you to visit more frequently, and having her wait in the car for an hour while I played blackjack. Oh man. Despite having nights where I won over $2,000 in a matter of a few hours, I still ended up losing at least $3,000 that summer. Luckily, I was going off to college in St. Louis, far away from my hometown casino in Kirkland, Washington, which should have prevented me from gambling during my 4 years at college. Man, the part with the girlfriend is rough. Taking your girlfriend to the casino so you could redeem one of the vouchers to get food there, and then also having her wait in the car for an hour while you play. My freshman year of college was rough. My foot hadn't fully recovered, so I was not able to play soccer to my full potential. On top of this, I had a difficult time making friends and was in an unfamiliar, uncomfortable environment. I was surrounded by extremely wealthy, privileged kids from the Northeast who grew up going to private school. Most of these kids have never worked a job in their lives. This made it a much more difficult time getting accustomed to my new school, having grown up on the West Coast, going to public high school and working throughout high school. Additionally, the way the social scene at my school works is through Greek life. Not entirely sure what that is, as the population of social, normal people is pretty small. To make matters worse, as a guy, one of the only ways to have a good social life is joining a fraternity. However, since the fraternity houses are pretty small relative to state schools, many kids who rush don't receive bids. I was unfortunate to be a part of that group where I rushed freshman year. On top of this blow to my self-esteem, I underwent foot surgery since my foot was not making any progress healing. This caused me to have to rely on crutches and a knee scooter again for the next couple months. I was legitimately depressed and at the lowest point of my life. I was not doing well in school, didn't have a girlfriend, and felt like I didn't have any close friends in general. I'm not entirely sure what this one sentence meant. The way the social scene at my school works is through Greek life? What is that? This was around the time that I discovered the realm of online gambling, a path that would unfortunately be worse than live casinos. Online casinos make it extremely easy to deposit real money into them, and coincidentally pretty damn difficult to withdraw money. I remember visiting a casino called Bovada and making my first $100 deposit with my debit card. This deposit quickly led to more $100 deposits until I had lost around $1,000 playing online blackjack and poker in a matter of hours. At this point, I didn't have a job, so I was essentially gambling away money my parents had given me to spend on food and necessities. I was too ashamed to tell my parents about this problem, as they were extremely disappointed after I told them at the end of the summer after senior year of high school. Luckily, at this point in my life, I didn't have too much disposable income to gamble away, so the damages were minimal. Wait, I'm not entirely sure what he meant here. So his parents didn't know? Or they did know? Oh no, they did know. So it sounds like he told his parents at the end of summer after senior year that he was gambling, and he didn't have the heart, or he was too ashamed to tell them that he was still gambling, and he gambled away the money that they gave him for food and necessities. Man. The next few years in college got better. I quit soccer and got into lifting, got into a fraternity and made a lot of new friends, who I'm still close with to this day. Aside from getting into sports gambling for around a month and losing $1,000, I would lose between $1,000 to $2,000 whenever I would go home for winter break at the original casino I went to. Although this was a decent amount of money, I was still able to allocate some of the money that I had earned from my college job towards personal spending, and was just happy that I had the self-control to ration out a percentage of it that I was comfortable losing when I did gamble. The good thing was that I did not gamble too consistently my sophomore and junior year of college, and more importantly, I was not obsessively thinking about it every day. Now, senior year of college was where everything took a turn for the worse and led me to all-time lows in my life. I remember playing poker for $25 buy-ins with my friends at my apartment every night for the first half of the school year. This wasn't a problem financially, since losing $25 was not a big deal to my financial health. Additionally, it was more of a social activity where most people weren't too concerned about the money and were playing for a good time. This did negatively impact me, however, as I was constantly thinking about poker and gambling in general all the time. Yeah, even when you have like these small $25 buy-in games with your friends, which I used to have all the time, it really gets you enthralled and addicted and interested in the game of poker. Then all of a sudden you realize that that's all you're thinking about 24/7. Around the same time, I got my signing bonus from the company where I'll be working at in a couple of months, and started heading to the nearby casinos with my roommate to play blackjack. I remember the first night we went, I won $2,000 and he won $500, and that immediately hooked me back into the whirlpool of blackjack. I started going at every opportunity I got, which also led to the revival of my online gambling addiction. I remember specifically one time where I was playing online blackjack, I turned 200 into 4,000, submitted the withdrawal request, but since online casinos take a long time to process the request, intentionally as they want you to gamble the money away, I ended up losing the 4,000 along with another 1,000 or 2,000 on top of that as I was chasing my losses. I was actually making money at live casinos but losing double the amount that I made online. This gambling ended up coming to a brief stop when I had lost my signing bonus and all the money in my bank account, and it took a break for around a month or so. Okay, so the part here where he talks about online casinos being very quick to take your deposit from your credit card, but being incredibly slow to process your withdrawal request is fairly common. I experienced this throughout all these online poker websites that I played on over the years. Whenever you just have your credit card, you would get your deposit in your account instantly, but if you were to withdraw, it could take somewhere even up to a whole month to actually get your money. The addiction started back up when I received my next paycheck from my college job. The instant the check was deposited into my bank account and cash was available, I would race over to an ATM and withdraw money to gamble with. I quickly lost $1,000 of it back home when I took my friend who visited to a nearby casino. It was around this time he told me about an app where you can invest in stocks called Robinhood. So I put around $5,000 of that paycheck into stocks on the app. When I put the money in my stock account, I remember making a pact to myself that I would never touch a table game again. I mean, new year, new me, right? As you can guess, my pact didn't last very long as I started playing live poker in the casino. I was so drawn to the appeal of winning money by making the right decision. I was actually profiting from playing live stakes poker as I studied the game and had sound strategy. The dangerous part about playing live poker for me, I personally don't consider poker as a complete gamble as there is skill involved. This was whenever I went to the casino to play poker, there were temptations awaiting me. Table games. After a month or so of playing strictly poker, I started getting back into blackjack again, along with baccarat, and went to the casino 4 to 5 times a week. After draining all the money from my stock account, I started borrowing money from my friends as I knew I would get a big paycheck from my job at the end of the school year. Additionally, I started dating my current girlfriend in January of that same year, who I am currently dating and love very much. I can regretfully say that gambling has not positively impacted my relationship with her in any way. So this guy, he went through something that actually happened to me, is that whenever you are playing poker in the casino, in the poker room, usually it's jammed in the far corner of the casino, but there is this allure of the table games and the slot machines and the blackjack table and the roulette table. It's all around you. And those temptations are just so hard for a gambler to resist. When my girlfriend and I went to California during spring break, I remember staying up all night on an online casino playing poker, blackjack, and baccarat after she fell asleep. I exhausted all my money in my bank account, including maxing out my credit card during that trip, and had to borrow money from my girlfriend. One of the most shameful things I've done to this date. Additionally, I remember one night where I promised her that I would meet her at a party my fraternity was hosting after I went to the casino to play poker with some friends. I drove 2 of my friends over. One of my friends left for the party with my car, while Mina and my other friend stayed. We ended up playing poker the whole night, and despite being up a couple $1,000s from blackjack, I missed the party and really disappointed my girlfriend. Some of the biggest fights that I have gotten into with my girlfriend were fueled by gambling. The monetary gains that result from the casino are always temporary, because at any point in time you can lose all the money in your bank account if you spend enough time playing games that are specifically designed to make you lose. Now, this is when having a gambling addiction can really negatively affect your life. Where this guy, he knew he had to go to a party for his girlfriend's birthday, and for whatever reason, he just couldn't make the right decision to get up and leave the casino. He just wanted to keep playing. This is when having a gambling addiction just kills you on the inside. Additionally, my addiction has caused me to disappoint my parents and family. No matter how successful I become, I know they will always be worried about me, since they know that this dangerous addiction can ruin my life at any moment, without giving any warning signs. I've read so many different stories about how this addiction leads to one of the highest suicide rates when people gamble their life away and feel like there is no way of recovering. I would really like to put an end to this problem at an early age before I allow it to affect my relationships with my friends and family. So at least by this part, he's starting to realize that his gambling addictions will really affect his relationships long term. And of course, the biggest risk of all, how there is this link between gambling addiction and ultimately committing suicide, which is just a tragic ending for anybody. I started skipping out on social events and hanging out with my friends in general due to my addiction to gambling. All I thought about 24/7 was all the money that I would make playing poker and blackjack. At one point, I was betting 3 black chips like they were worth a few cents as opposed to $100 each on table games. I had to lie to my friends about going to the casino because I was embarrassed about that side of my life. The summer after my graduation, I just continued to dig myself into a deeper hole. I would win money in real life while losing money playing online poker and blackjack. After the big paycheck from my college job came in, I stored away a decent amount of money in my Robinhood stock account to invest. But in a matter of a few short months, I had gambled away most of that money. I've borrowed money from multiple friends, even my girlfriend, and I've also exhausted my credit cards on several occasions. The loss of money started affecting my play in live poker. I ended up losing $5,000 playing live poker, along with $15,000 online and at least $20,000 in casinos. Even though I graduated from a prestigious university and I have a solid job lined up in the fall, I battle constantly with this addiction and the urge to gamble with the hopes of earning all my money back and being done with the gambling once and for all. What started as a spark of curiosity turned into an escape from emotional pain and eventually into a lifelong attempt to break even. I've tried many things to overcome this addiction, but nothing has worked successfully. I'm posting on here today because I want to end this addiction once and for all. I figure if I post on Reddit, I will at least have written down this commitment in a publicly available space. Okay, so it sounds like he lost $5,000 playing live poker, lost $15,000 online, and $20,000 at the casino. So that's a total of $40,000. Now, one of the biggest mistakes you can make as someone who's addicted to gambling or in the gambling world is this idea of one day winning back the money you lost and that you can just quit and be break even. This is the definition of chasing your losses. I have met so many people throughout my poker career, so many people throughout my life, and so many people in the casino that were just like, if I just can break even, if I can just get back to break even and win back my money or the money that I think the casino stole from me, then I can just quit and just give up. And even when I have seen people make that massive comeback and win back all that money they lost, far often than not, they just don't quit and they just keep going anyway. So this goal that you're telling yourself is just a false truth. It's just false hope, and it's just fuel that justifies your ability to keep playing. So hopefully this guy, he got his life in order, and now that he has a pretty good job by the sounds of it, and he can kind of pay off his debt or whatever debt that he has left. So this was an incredibly interesting poker story and really tough because it said he is 22 years old. And this is one of the things that I'm really worried about, is if for anyone that's watching this video, if you are a teenager or in your early 20s, I highly urge you to try to stay away from gambling in any form as you can, because this could ruin the rest of your entire life and it can just be all over in a blink of an eye. So let me know in the comments section down below if you enjoyed these gambling addiction stories videos, and I'll see you next time.